Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And I just got the news, so I'm going to get this video up pretty quick. But Kenny KO's main channel has been shut down this morning. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skill up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. It's going to be a rather serious video. Let's joke around a little bit first though. Down below, you guys keep noticing that I've got the same guys over and over and over asking about Chris Jones and his bulge. Now, I already answered this video a couple days ago. I answered this question, and I told him, he's got that bulge probably from Kerry and Vince G all those years. But then he's asking stuff like, do you think Chris Jones isn't making videos? He hadn't made any videos in the last week. Is it because he's hurting? Is it because of his bulge? I don't know. Chris got my number. Chris hadn't reached out to me in a long time. I hadn't really talked to Chris in a while. I really don't know what's going on, man. I'm sorry. I really don't know. And then he wants to know, do you think Denise left him because they broke up again, apparently? I didn't realize when that happened. But he's like, do you think she left him because he doesn't believe in marriage and kids? Like, I don't know, man. Is that really newsworthy? Strong, independent black woman leaves dude for being hoe ready all the time and not wanting to get married or have kids. It's possible. I don't know if that's breaking news. Who knows? I mean, man, why do you guys care so much about Chris Jones's bulge and his personal life with his girl? Come on, guys. He's an entertainer and a trainer, man. Come on. His personal life don't mean that much. Now, on to Kenny. All right, guys, I was wrong. I said last time when I covered this over the smaller channel that I think YouTube would keep his bigger channel up because he's making money and everything else. And some people said, no, it's not because of SARMs. It's because of a lawsuit. Guys, getting sued over your YouTube videos, I've never heard of anyone being shut down for that. I have been sued. Over YouTube videos. All right? I've been sued over YouTube videos. You don't necessarily get shut down for that. I doubt that. Seriously doubt that's what it is. And why would they have started with his smaller channel, shut his smaller channel down if it was over lawsuits? It would have had to have been over a smaller channel. Then they're not going to shut your bigger channel down for that usually, because again, it's not necessarily related. It's not community guideline related. I think it comes back to the SARMs. Now we get into a real interesting debate with this because again, we start debating free speech. And I guess the point we make is that we could argue that social media is an outlet for free speech. But again, what people need to understand, free speech is a form of political protest. That's what people need to understand. What free speech actually means. Free speech is about your ability to express unpopular political opinions. It doesn't mean you get to promote illegal activity, right? I mean, we can have a grievance against the government, but if we start using our social media platforms to call for, the assassination of political leaders or violent revolution, we're still going to go to jail for it, right? You're still going to go to jail for that. You're still going to go to prison. Social media is still going to shut you down. Like, that's not the same necessarily. That's organizing a revolution isn't always the same as your free speech. Because again, you're promoting direct violence at that point. And I'm not saying there aren't cases where that's justified. I mean, the American Revolution is a perfect example where that was justified. There are popular revolutions that are ethically and morally justified. Particularly from a freedom perspective. But when it comes down to, let's look at the situation of SARMs, because that's probably what this seems to be over. People are like, well, you're shutting down. No, they're shutting down technically illegal business. If someone is linking SARM sites for sale, the law and the guidelines have changed, right? The laws and the guidelines have changed. The FDA very recently, not that long ago, changed the rules and stated that selling SARMs as dietary supplements is now illegal. It's restricted. So by that same token, any website selling SARMs already in dosed amounts is now promoting an illegal business. So anyone linking websites doing that under YouTube policy, that's a violation, guys. If you're linking a website that's selling SARMs as a dietary supplement, that's a direct violation of their guidelines. Just like YouTube has written, you can't link people to sites that sell firearm suppressors, right? You can't link people to that stuff. It's against the rules. They'll shut you down for it. They'll shut you down for it. Now, it comes down to a reasonable thing. Now, if Amazon started selling suppressors off the side and became a class 3 dealer and transfer, your Amazon link probably isn't going to do that, because that would be far less than 1% of their business. It's such a small part of their business. And Amazon, everyone's got Amazon affiliates. I mean, Amazon has links to certain things that YouTube doesn't allow for firearms. Amazon does sell a few things, I think. I'm not sure, but I think they do. I'd have to double check through them. So that's a little bit different because it's not their main business. But when you're directly linking to a SARM site that sells SARMs in already a humanly usable form, that's going to go away. And if you guys notice around, I've kind of looked into this to see what different websites are doing. And websites that sell prepackaged SARMs already dosed into human quantities, with a bottle and pills already, they were all trying to move their inventory last month, trying to do like 20-30% off to get rid of everything on their shelf, to get rid of it. They were trying to sell it all before the end of the month. And a lot of them were saying that, that's it, that they were done selling SARMs. But research companies that sell bulk research chemicals aren't closing down their inventories from what I can see, right? Because they're not selling them as dietary supplements. The others would be legally classified. You can argue they can put not for human use all they want on that bottle, but it's very obvious that's what it's for, that's what it's being marketed for. The FDA will pop them for that, right? And so someone's linking that, that's different. It's another thing if someone makes a video calling for the law to be changed. Now that falls under free speech, because you're not saying, I want to just sell an illegal product. You are calling for a change in the laws. You don't like a law. You want a law to be changed, and you break down your reasons why in a free country or whatever, or for the safety of people, that a law needs to be changed. You're not talking about breaking a law. You're not selling an illegal product. You're not calling for violence. That is now a form of political protest. That's the sort of stuff that is protected under free speech, calling for the changes in laws. All right. Generally, YouTube doesn't ban people for that. Now, we're going to get into an interesting thing. Like I said before, the current administration is looking at this stuff. They took Facebook up and said, hey, we think you're starting to restrict free speech. And historically, the argument's been that a private company has the right to restrict your free speech. Right? That it's always been that way. You don't have the right to make big political protests at your regular corporate job in the middle of the lobby on the clock. You can be terminated for that. Now, you can't go to jail for that because your free speech is protected, but a company can say, no, you can't work here. You can't use our company as a platform for your political speech without permission from the owners. Right? The company can cut you loose. They can ban you from the facility. And it's been argued historically that social media, technically under free business, doesn't have to allow you to use them for your political speech. The problem we run into, and this is again what government is starting to even look at, particularly conservative government, is saying, wait a minute, you are an outlet for public opinion. This is a platform, a user's level platform, and that is Facebook, and they might start talking to YouTube about that. This is a user level platform where the common man has the ability to send out a message. They might start looking at that and start fining them and everything else for restricting legitimate free speech, and that might happen, but it requires certain changes in the laws for that to happen. Because historically, we haven't had this. This is a new technology, right? Social media, computer, internet is a new form of technology, and how do we balance all of that with free speech laws written in a different era? We have to figure out how to make it work, because we get to a point now of balancing business rights with free speech. But in this case, these are businesses that are now in the business of giving the average person a public platform. Right? That's what they do. And then they make their money off the side on advertising. Well, that's where we're starting to fall into an area that we don't have a real precedent for historically. And we as a society, and that includes our representatives who we elect to put policy in place, are going to have to figure this out. They're going to have to figure this out. But when we come down to the point of free speech, yeah, I get worried when YouTube starts restricting free speech, and they have done so. But on this current time, under the way the laws are written, they're not necessarily violating your constitutional rights when they're doing that. So again, this is stuff that we as a society are going to have to look at. But you go to someone like Kenny KO, if this comes back to, again, him linking the SARM sites on his smaller channel, technically under YouTube's policies, they can terminate all his channels for that. They can terminate all of his channels for that. First offense. Because again, he's directly promoting and selling illegal products at that point. So that, I'm thinking that's very well what happened. I don't think it was over a lawsuit. I mean, we'll have to see what Kenny says on his social media sites when he comes out and says what's going on. But I'm going to guess that's what's happening. And I think all these other SARM sites, they're probably all going to go away. They're all going to be gone pretty soon under these same set of policies. It just is what it is, guys. The laws have changed. Laws have changed. Now, I don't necessarily agree with those laws. I don't agree with those laws. But they are what they are. And like I said before, no one's going to fight a revolution over SARMs and anabolic steroids. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. If there's any controlled substance that's likely to spark a revolution in the American people anytime within the next decade, it's probably going to be marijuana. That's probably where you're going to see it. Again, when you start looking at the sheer number of people who use, the sheer number of people who want something changed, when you now have the majority of people disagree with a law, with a federal level law, and federal government doesn't listen, that's when people start taking action. So I think you're more likely to see it over something like that than you are over any of this stuff. No one's going to do anything about it. No one really cares enough other than a tiny segment of the population, and they're not going to be listened to. Because the mainstream media is so anti-PED in general, because that's the message that's been put out for 40 years now. That it's just ingrained in everyone's head to this point that just is what it is. I don't see that changing anytime in the next 5 to 10 years. I just don't. That's the reality. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.